Washington are you from?
So I live in Vancouver, Washington, so it's right across the bridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So my wife is always asking, where are we going?
To the West Coast.
Yeah.
I mean, I live on the East Coast, but the West Coast is very nice and it's much easier.
Okay.
We welcome you to New England Sports Village here in Attleboro, Massachusetts for today's JWHL Junior Women's Hockey League 16U playoff matchup between the Winchendon School and the Philadelphia Junior Flyers. We're just about set for opening puck drop here for period number 1. Both centermen dig in for the opening face-off. It's one back to the defense. That's Round with it. She'll work it forward into the corner. Back behind. Try to move it up now is Jacobs. Had it stripped away. Shot comes in. That's sticked away by Rhinus. Trying to break out of their own zone of the Flyers. Mishandling the puck in front for Winchendon. Going the other way is 19 with it now, Jacobs. She'll dump it in. Into the corner. Stewart trying to fight off the defense. In for support comes Weber. Weber trying to work it in front. From behind the net. Going over to the right side. Trying to work it out, picking up the loose puck is Winchendon, kept in by the Flyers. They'll dump it deep into the offensive zone. Up the board, that one just past the stick of Hasbargen, and it's going to go the length of the ice for icing. We'll have a face-off in the offensive zone for the Flyers. It'll come to the left of Hasbargen, who's in net for Winchendon. One back and sent around the boards by Wara. Long stretch pass out. Winchendon coming the other way, 2-on-1, and it's sticked aside by the defense. It was Hamilton getting the defensive stick in there. Winchendon going the other way, dangling in foot. Shot stopped by Hasbargen. As the shot came from Stavola, trying to work it back into the Flyers. Worked out. Stavola's going to dump it in. Regroup in the offensive zone. Winchendon trying to break it out. Long aerial flip pass. Won't go. Wara going to dump it in. Tried to get the shot off there on Reines, just missed. Breaking out. Stretch pass intended for Crass, who works it in now. No icing on the play. It's waved off by the officials. And it's a defenseman, Matty Round, for Winchendon. They'll try to work it up the boards. Won't work. They'll regroup behind Has Bargain, and she'll throw it around to her defensive partner. They'll work inside the zone. Flyers will pick it up, send it around. Was, I believe, the defenseman Ava Crass. Now it's picked up by Winchendon. They'll dump it in. Dumping it in was Butto. And defense will dump it in for Winchendon. It's Grace Mumford dumping it in. Looking in front, trying to get it back to Mumford. Just goes past Mumford. She'll regroup in her defensive zone. I'll try to set something up. Get back into the offensive zone. As Wurzer working her way in. Had it in a low slot and just couldn't handle the puck. Stuck to the ice on her. As Flyers trying to go the other way. Working in front. Shot in front. Covered by Hasbargen's loose in front. Winchendon will clear. It's going to go the length of the ice for icing. As it'll stop the clock with 13:28 here remaining in the first period. As the faceoff will come to the right-hand side of Mia Hasbargen. They'll dig in for the draw. It's won by the Flyers. That faceoff was won by Rachel Stewart, who works it back now for the defense. Trying to work it in. Stewart, nice move, gets by the defense. Shot over, scores! Junior Flyers strike first. And they draw first blood as it's number 28, Lauren Stewart, the 2029 graduate, potting the opening goal here. Just about 4 minutes into the opening frame, the Flyers have life. Winchendon will try to answer back here quickly after the face-off. Picking it up. Won't go, picked up by the defense. They'll move it forward. It's thrown over to Hasbargen. The two Hasbargen sisters for Winchendon. One in net, one skating on the ice as a forward. Keeping it in is Wara. She'll dump it deep. Into the corner goes Haley Hasbargen. Trying to keep it in, I believe, was Round. And it's thrown into the corner. Defenseman changing on the fly. Going in is Winchendon. They'll work it around. Getting it to the defense. Mumford, shot! Stopped by Reines. Not sure if it even made its way all the way to Reines through traffic in front of the net. Mumford try to keep it in. She'll keep it in and try to regroup as Sievers looking to throw it in front. Pass was broken up there. Intended for the low slot as they had numbers in front. Mumford will send it in. Defense will change. They'll get fresh legs for the offense as well. Complete the change as the Flyers will work it down. That's thrown over for Tab. Couldn't handle the puck in her feet on the intentional pass from her teammate. Now working it out is Gianna Buto. Throws it over to Tab. Tab shot stopped by Reines. She stays hot in net. Stopped everything that's come her way so far here in this early test. Here, working it around. Just fanned on the shot in front was, I believe, number 22, Avery Allstrand. It was 32, pardon me, Ashley Marsala with a chance in front to even it at 1 apiece here in the opening frame. 11:07 left. Marsala will dig in for the face-off with Stewart. Stewart wins it back, and it's back to the defense. Working it around is Cohen. That went off the shin pads of a Winchendon defender and back into the defensive zone for the Flyers. Long stretch pass forward. Trying to move it through the defenders was Jacobs. Wouldn't get there. Now Winchendon moving it forward. Pass a little too far in front of Lee. Lee works her way forward. No call from the officials there on what could have been a potential hooking call. Working the other way. Shot blockered away by Hasbargen. And dumping it out is Winchendon. And that one will go the length of the ice. They're going to wave off the icing. No icing from the officials there. Not sure if it went off a stick before it went the full length of the ice. Sending it into the zone is Alika Lee. Hasbargen. Shot denied by Reines. Working in the corner, back to the defense. Trying to move forward is Hasbargen. Hasbargen's shot goes off a defensive stick from the Flyers and redirected wide. Good defensive pressure there from the Flyers as they try to work and regroup in the offensive zone now. Hasbargen trying to work it up. Couldn't strip the puck away. Second effort almost gets there. Loose puck in front of Winchendon's net. Defense can't quite clear it yet as they'll put pressure along the boards and fight for the loose puck on the right-hand boards. It's finally picked up by Winchendon. They'll throw it over to Isabel Lee, who looks to work things forward. Skate right into her own teammate there. A little confusion, miscommunication from Winchendon. As picking her up behind her own net is Avery Allstrand, who works it over to Hasbargen. They'll try to jumpstart the offense, and I believe we are going to have a penalty here called by the officials as we have a whistle and a stoppage in play. It's not going to be a penalty, but we'll have a high stick. So the face-off will be just outside the offensive zone for the Flyers. As we get restarted here in this 1-0 JWHL playoff game, the Flyers leading 1-0 for those of you just tuning in, and the Flyers now with it. Losing her footing in front was Eva Krass with a potential breakaway chance. That a golden opportunity. Unfortunately, not going her way. This face-off now will come outside the offensive zone for the Flyers. It's won by Winchendon. Moving it forward now is Allstrand. Had the puck stripped away. Moving it forward is Picker. Chopping down on the stick with a good defensive play was Abby Wara. She's going the other way. Trying to go end-to-end, drop pass. Now, looking forward was Allstrand. Couldn't get the shot off as it was poked away. Hasbargen sticks it aside. Lee will throw it around to her defensive partner, Wara. She'll throw it forward for Tab, who throws it forward into the offensive zone for Claire Sullivan. Flyers D will pick it up. They'll try to work it out of the zone. Mumford, rather, will try to keep it into the zone. As it's taken in the neutral zone now, entering the offensive zone of the Flyers. It's Stewart working in front, won't go. Hasbargen covers the loose puck in her own crease. Made the initial save and then able to track down the loose puck and cover. Great sense of awareness from a goalie. That's what you like to see. As we'll get a face-off now to the left hand side of Has Bargain and the offensive zone for the Flyers as the two centermen dig in. It's one back to the Flyers defense. Shot from the point goes wide. That shot came from, I believe, number 9, Caroline Cohen. Worked into the zone, trying to fight off is Wara. Got to be careful with the sticks as the Flyers offensive player down on the ice. Got a stick in a bad place. Officials may call something. That's stopped by Has Bargain on the shot from Rachel Stewart. We're going to get a whistle here. I believe we're going to see the first power play opportunity of the night, as it is a high sticking call on number 2 of Winchendon, Abby Wara. It'll be a 2-minute penalty and a 2-minute power play for the Junior Flyers. They get the first power play opportunity of the night. They win the faceoff on the power play. It's patted aside by Has Bargain. And almost a quick strike early on the power play on the opening faceoff. For the Junior Flyers. After the stoppage, faceoff comes to the left-hand side. It's one back by the centerman for the Flyers, Stewart. They'll work it at the point. It's sticked aside by Round. She'll clear. They can't ice it here on the penalty kill. She will do just that, and that'll kill some time off the penalty here for Winchendon. Coming the other way now is Cohen for the Flyers. Trying to work in, gets denied in front. Oh, was looking for Cohen there with the Flyers. And miscommunication sends the puck out of the zone. Stewart with it now. She'll send it cross ice for Cohen. Cohen working her way in. Shot is sticked aside by Has Bargain. Back now is Swavely. Shot in front will go. Second chance for Stewart is just wide of the net. Linus will move it forward for Swavely. As Winchendon with it now, it's Sievers trying to work something shorthanded. 40 seconds left in the penalty kill on the 2-minute minor to Abby Wara. Dumped into the zone chasing and grabbing the loose puck is Precourt. Thrown in front, and just mishandling the puck was Sievers on what could have been a potential chance shorthanded to even this one at one apiece. Mumford will throw that one over to Allstrand. Throwing it forward, Flyers entering the zone after everyone clears. Make sure they're not getting an offsides call. Throwing back, shot is gloved by Has Bargain with a beautiful glove save there, flashing the leather.
Got shots as 10 for the Flyers.
Shots are 10-2 in favor of the Flyers. Face off is one back to the defense. They'll throw it aside. It's picked up by Orizati and rings the pipe there, trying to work it in front. Work back to the defense. It's Lee throwing it down into the offensive zone for Winchendon. Pressuring, trying to keep the puck in the zone was the defenseman, Maddie Round. It's behind the net of Linus. Picked up by Winchendon. Looking over, thrown over to Round. Round's shot won't go. Picked up by the Flyers. Wouldn't go, and now it is Picker with it for the Flyers. Thrown over. Marsala gets it for Winchendon, trying to throw it in the offensive zone for a little dump and change action. Coming the other way is Cohen for the Flyers. Shot goes off the pipe, and moving it forward was Lee. That one won't go, finds its way back to the point. It's Swavely who tried to keep it in. Nice move around is Precourt working it in. Shot stopped by Reines. I believe that went right off of her face mask and then directly down into her glove. Face-off one back to Wara for Winchendon. Just outside the offensive zone. They're going to regroup, send it back into the zone. Just a little ahead of Wara. Now coming the other way for the Flyers is Jacobs. Has it sticked aside by Wara. She's going to go the other way. Looking to get into the offensive zone. Going to throw it in front of Reines as the defensive partner went for a change. As the Flyers will work it the other way. Pass intended for Stewart goes just wide. And that'll go the length of the ice for icing. It'll be a face-off inside the offensive zone for Winchendon with 2:28 left here in the first period of play. Flyers leading 1-0. So digging for the face-off. Flyers will win the face-off back to the defense. We'll work it around. It's rimmed around by Schmidt. Schmidt trying to fight off the defense. Sullivan tried to throw it in front for Tab. Wouldn't go. It's thrown over now to Stavola. Trying to throw it forward. Through traffic. Finds its way to the backboards. Didn't find its way to the net. As Klotzbach tried to move it forward for the Flyers. Winchendon trying to work it the other way. It's dumped into the offensive zone from Sullivan. They'll go for a change. As back with it now for the Flyers. Moving it forward was Ava Krass. Still have it back in the defensive zone. And Schmidt tries to jumpstart things for the Flyers offense. So Winchendon works it into the zone. Sievers behind the net of Reines. Works it back to the defense. Mumford shot goes just wide. Finds its way back to Round. DDD pass to Mumford won't go. Orazati throws it forward. Will handle, looking for the defense. They went for a change. She'll throw it back into the offensive zone for Sievers. Try to jump start it in front of the net. Chance sticked aside. As the puck was bouncing in front, Flyers defense able to stick it away. Just trying to work it out of the zone was Precourt there. It's picked up by the Flyers defense. They'll send it forward for Picker. Precourt had the puck stripped away as it's thrown forward for Krass. It gets stripped by the defense, and now Haley has bargained going the other way. That'll do it for the first period of play. It is 1-0 after one period of play in favor of the Philadelphia Junior Flyers.
Shots ended up 10 for the Flyers, 4 for Winchendon. Unofficial.
As the unofficial shot total is 10 for the Flyers and 4 for Winchendon at the end of the first period. We welcome you back to New England Sports Village here in Attleboro, Massachusetts for second period action of this 16U JWHL playoff hockey matchup between Winchendon School and the Philadelphia Junior Flyers. After one period of play, it's the Junior Flyers leading Winchendon 1-0 as we're just about set for opening puck drop here to start the second period of play. As Stewart will dig in for the Flyers against Precourt. Precourt wins it back for Winchendon. Has Bargan, will stick it aside for Ham. And I believe that's Munford. Tried to throw it forward to jump start the offense for Winchendon. Stewart behind the net for the Junior Flyers. As it's picked up now by has Bargan. She'll work it forward to, I believe it's Dilo Edo with it for Winchendon. She has it in the offensive zone now, trying to fight off the Flyers defense. Precourt comes in for help. Ham, shot from the point. Denied by the Flyers defense. That was Cohen denying the chance. Stewart trying to work it the other way. Thrown over. Shot from number 19, Ashlyn Jacobs, was padded aside by Has Bargan, pardon me. And now she'll cover the loose puck to get a stoppage in play. So the Flyers will have a face-off inside the offensive zone with 16:08 remaining on the clock in the second period. They lead it 1-0. Face-off won by Winchendon. Over into the corner. Throwing it forward was Sievers. Her pass intended for Orizati, who's trying to fight off the Flyers defense in the corner. As Sievers with it now. Throws it for Orizati in the corner. Sticked aside by the defense. It's Petziculo, who moves it forward for the Flyers in the defensive zone, now picked up by Weber. Weber moves it forward. Tried to move it in front. It's picked up by Winchendon's defense. They'll flip it forward. No icing on the play as Ashley Marsala works her way into the corner for Winchendon. Rimmed around as Tab trying to work it forward for Winchendon. Picked up by the Flyers defense. Moving it up the right-hand boards. Kept in by Butto. She'll work it in front. Gets taken down. No call. As the Winchendon fan base was looking for a tripping call. We play on here. That one just goes off the feet of Lee and out of the zone. Unlucky bounce here for Winchendon as Ham back to retreat in her defensive zone and move it forward. Schmidt with it for the Flyers in her defensive zone. So they'll try to break it out. Keeping it alive was Tab for Winchendon with a joint effort. Not sure who assisted on that play. Tough to see the numbers from the booth up here. As we'll now get a whistle here for a stoppage in play. It's going to be a penalty to Winchendon. So going to the box is number 3, Caroline Werzer, for 2 minutes. As we'll see the second power play opportunity of the night for the Junior Flyers. They're 0 for 1 on the power play so far tonight. See if they can't make it 1 for 1 on the power play to take a 2-0 lead here in this 16U playoff matchup. Flyers win the faceoff. Back to Cohen. Cohen moves it forward. Pass intended for Stewart. As fighting off the Flyers offense is Munford in the corner. Wedge Stewart against the board. Back to Cohen now. Cohen at the top of the point. Works it over. Shot from Cohen is stopped by Has Bargan. Face-off will come. In the offensive zone for the Flyers, 1:35 left. And a 2-minute minor penalty. Swavely's shot sticked aside to the corner by Hasbargen, and Winchendon will clear. Rhinus comes out to play the puck, moves it forward for Cohen, mishandled in front. The shot from Orazati, just high and rings the end glass. As moving in the other way now is Stewart. It was stripped aside by Winchendon's defense. Orazati tried to clear. Cohen able to handle the loose puck for the Flyers. They move into the offensive zone. Back around the corner is Jacobs. Jacobs with it at the top of the circle. Throws it over for Swavely. Jacobs plays it off her skate to her feet, in front, loose. Back behind the net was Stewart. Throws it aside. The shot comes from Cohen. Off the pads of Hasbargen. Winchendon trying to clear the defensive zone. Puck gets out of the zone. 28 seconds left, and the penalty is Cohen. Works it into the offensive zone for the Flyers. That pass won't go to the intended target. Orazati will clear. Penalty kill will go for a change. 16 seconds left. And a 2-minute minor penalty at Caroline Werzer. That one finds its way all the way back for icing with 9 seconds left in the Flyers power play. They can win this defensive zone face-off and get up the ice quickly. Might have a chance for something in the last 9 seconds, the dying seconds of this power play. Winchendon will win the face-off, keep it in. Marsala just going to rim it around. Try to kill off the remaining seconds of this penalty. Working the other way now is Picker for the Flyers. Up along the boards. Tried to drop pass for Crass. It was sticked aside by Lee. And trying to work forward was DiLoretto for Winchendon. Lee works it forward for Winchendon. DiLoretto sticks it aside. Hasbargen in the corner. Receives a loose puck. Drops it back. Hasbargen receives it again, just over the top of the net. In the low slot. Winchendon keeping the pressure alive in the offensive zone. It's Precourt with it. Drops it for Hasbargen. Wara tried to work in. Loose puck picked up by Hasbargen. Hasbargen shot stopped by Rhinus. Loose in front, picked up by the defense. And Crass will throw a long stretch pass over for Picker, who tried to close in on Hasbargen, the netminder for Winchendon. Working forward is Stewart for the Flyers. She'll give it back to the point to Hamilton, as Ham picks it up behind her own net and tried to rim it around the boards for the winger. As pressure along the wall, Flyers trying to keep it in the offensive zone, kick the puck loose. As Winchendon will come away with it, it's Wara. She'll peel off the oncoming pressure and throw it forward for DiLoretto. Hasbargen's shot was loose in the crease. Rhinus does have it, so she'll come away with a save there. A golden scoring opportunity right there for Winchendon to try to even this one at one apiece. With 10:26 left to go in the second, it's 1-0 in favor of the Junior Flyers here in Attleboro, Massachusetts at New England Sports Village in this JWHL U16 playoff matchup. As the faceoff was tried to win back to Mumford was Orazati. Stewart came away with it for the Flyers and worked it into the offensive zone. As retreating into the defensive zone now is Cohen. Pass intended for Swavely wouldn't go. Mumford sticks it aside. Rosati tried to move it forward. Back into the corner now. Mumford will try to fight off Stewart. Stewart fights off Mumford, trying to work it around. Puck was loose in front. Swavely over to Cohen. The DDD pass shot in on has Bargain, and she'll glove that one to keep it a 1-goal deficit for Winchendon. As it'll be Gianna Buto digging in for the faceoff with Stewart. It's won back by Buto. Tab throwing it forward now. Tab. Buto rather threw it forward for Sullivan. Sullivan working forward. Buto behind the net gets pinned by the defender for the Flyers. Trying to work it free. The Flyers defense worked it free. That was Swavely throwing it forward. Collision at center ice. As back to the defensive zones, Walla for Winchendon throws it forward for Tab. Tab works it forward. Sullivan sticks it into the corner and will try to get this loose puck. Tab with it in front, looking for Marsala. Marsala sticks it back to Tab, thrown in front for Sullivan, won't go. Marsala with it in the corner, trying to peel out the defenders. Tried to make a move, couldn't get the puck to agree with her to get around the defense. It's kept in by Ham. As back goes Cohen. She's gonna launch this one all the way down the ice for icing. So the faceoff will be right back in the offensive zone for Winchendon. As Ashley Marsala will dig in for the faceoff against. That was against Demzinski, who won it back for the Junior Flyers. Trying to work it out of the zone was Crass. I believe it's offsides here on Winchendon, the call from the officiating crew. So the faceoff will come just outside the offensive zone for Winchendon. As Marsala will dig in against Demzinski. Wins it back to Ham. Ham throws it forward for Lee. Lee trying to chase Schmidt. Schmidt throws it over for Crass. Thrown back for Mumford, who throws it into the offensive zone. Werber. Lee trying to work it in front. Was sticked aside there by Reines. A little goaltending poke check. Lee picks up the loose puck for Winchendon and will try to jumpstart the offense. That one goes into the Winchendon bench off the helmet of one of the players on the ice. That one will ring your ears for sure. As the old hockey saying goes, she's going to have to pick up the phone as she goes to the bench because her ears are going to be ringing after taking that one off the dome. As offensive faceoff, one back to the point by Winchendon. It has Bargain with it. Thrown back to the point. It's Allstrand. Allstrand keeping it alive from the top of the blue line. She'll work it down low. Worked back to the point was Precourt. Trying to work it in. Has Bargain. Will work it along the boards. Works free into the slot. Shot won't go. Trying to work its way in front for Reines. Precourt has Bargain. Scores! Number 14, Haley has Bargain. Knocks us up at one apiece. Puts Winchendon on the board. We're tied at 1. We got a hockey game, folks. Do not leave your seats. We're going to have a nail-biter finish here in Attleboro, Massachusetts at New England Sports Village in this U16 playoff matchup. As center ice face-off after the goal from Haley Hasbargen to knot us up at 1 apiece. Was one back to the Junior Flyers defense. Trying to move it forward, Winchendon. Cohen picks up the loose puck for the Flyers. Shot finds its way in front of Hasbargen, and it's sticked aside quickly by Wara, the defenseman for Winchendon. Good defensive awareness there to stick that one aside quickly on what could have been a dangerous opportunity for the opposition. Swavely from the top of the point. That one sticked aside. A little pad action from Hasbargen in net. Now going the other way is Orizati. I believe it's going to be offsides as Marsala just a stride in front of Orizati there on the offensive rush. As that goal from Haley Hasbargen gives all the momentum right now to Winchendon. They're certainly showing it. A breath of life into the entire bench. As now working the other way for the Flyers is Picker. Mumford, good defensive pressure there. Picker try to work it back. Marsala picks it up along the board. Stretch pass intended for Severs. Severs picking the loose puck. Couldn't handle it. Good stick-on-stick action from the defense there. It's picked up by Sullivan and now worked into the offensive zone, trying to fight off the offensive rush. Was Alika Lee. Tab the other way for the Winchendon offense. Shot goes just wide and off the end boards near the Zamboni doors. As Krass with a long stretch pass intended for Pricker. As it's rimmed around by Allstrand. Wara moving it out of her defensive zone. Little end-to-end rush. Will throw the shot in on Rhinus. Goes just wide off the end boards. Probably an intentional miss. A dump with purpose there from this Winchendon squad. Wara picks up the loose puck and moves it forward for Precourt, in, makes a move, tries to put in the backhand, as we'll play on here, as a shot from him from the point. Precourt couldn't get the angle on the stick for the tip, right in front for a golden opportunity though from a tip. You like that look if you're Winchendon right there in a tie hockey game. Loose in front of Rhinus. Looking to put it in is, I believe, Hasbargen. Could have had her second of the game. To put Winchendon in front 2-1. That one goes around. Was picked up by the defenseman Schmidt. Sent it forward. Flyers trying to move it forward. Ham trying to keep the Flyers outside of their offensive zone. Flyers moving into the offensive zone. The shot sticked aside by Hasbargen as Flyers will regroup. That pass intended for Cohen back will have no icing here on a mishandled pass. Working it in is the lone goal scorer. Haley Hasbargen looking for her second. Poke checked aside by Rhinus, the Flyers netminder. As it's been all Winchendon after the goal from Hasbargen. Shot from Orizati blockered aside by Rhinus. And losing her footing there was Lee. As just blew the edge out there. As working it forward, Jacobs for the Flyers. Ahead of steam. Puck just bounces off her stick, and it's a goal for the Flyers. They take a 2-1 lead. That was number 24, Rachel Stewart, the Penn State commit, putting the Flyers back on top. In this matchup, as with 2:54 left to play in the second period, Flyers take the 2-1 lead. They'll look to bring that into the third and final period of play. As we remain tied at the end of 3. If Winchendon can tie this one up, and we stay tied after regulation, we will have overtime as Orazati works it forward. Shot goes just wide. Had Rhinus beat, but didn't have the net beat there. Trying to work it in front was Orazati, wrapping around the net, trying to find her offensive line mate in front of the net. That's thrown in deep behind Rhinus. Orazati tried to put a little shot off the back of the skates of Rhinus to bounce into the net. Like that look there from Orazati as Sullivan tried to keep it in the offensive zone. Ham with it now. Works it over to Buto. Buto over the blue line and in. Shot right off the defenseman for the Flyers as Tab picks up the loose puck, throws it in front for Sullivan. Sullivan picking up the loose puck behind the net. Back to the point, Ahlstrand. Ahlstrand shot from the point is blocked from traffic. Coming the other way now for the Flyers is Picker. As it's thrown over, Sullivan trying to stick it aside. Ham will put on some defensive pressure. Cohen threw it in front of the net for Picker. It was sticked aside by the defender in front of the net for Winchendon. Tab, who works it in the offensive zone now. She'll get the puck stripped off her stick from Picker. And will work forward. Crass receives a long stretch pass. Has it stripped aside by Lee, who works it into the offensive zone for Winchendon as back behind her own net is Picker. As she has it now in the offensive zone. Trying to work it out of the offensive zone. Loose puck. Is D. Loretto for Winchendon, picking it up in the neutral zone and working it in the offensive zone. Now coming the other way are the junior Flyers. It's Klotzbach who works it in. Winchendon the other way with it now. As has Bargan. Tried to work it out. Lee from her defensive zone. Trying to lob it in to the defensive zone. It's grabbed by the defenseman Cohen for the Flyers and thrown in to the offensive zone. As Precourt now with a breakaway chance, shoots, scores! Bar down! That is a playoff hockey goal right there. That's going on a highlight reel somewhere. As we're tied at 2 with 3.5 seconds left in the second. Little bar down buzzer beater action. You can't ask for much more. Now, if you, as that'll do it for the second period of play. We're tied at 2 after 2 periods of play. If you're Winchendon now, with that recent goal from Megan Precourt, bar down on the breakaway in the dying minutes of the second period, you just got to carry that momentum that you just gained for Winchendon into this third period. As after intermission, as we'll take a quick break to resurface the ice, and then we'll be back here at New England Sports Village for this U16 JWHL playoff matchup between Winchendon and the Junior Flyers. in the offensive zone. Bargain. Everybody on the ice there. We're going to get a whistle and a stoppage in play. As Bargain was somehow able to track that one down and cover it for a whistle. So face-off will come to the left-hand side of has Bargain. Stewart digging in against Orizati for the face-off. Stewart trying to move it in. It's loose puck picked up by Werzer. She'll work it in the offensive zone along the left-hand boards. Behind the net. As I believe that was one of the Stewart sisters for the Flyers. Moving it forward. In the corner now was Lee sending it over to Werber. As her shot denied by Reines. Face-off will come to the left-hand side of Reines as Precourt will dig in for the face-off against Pete Zicculo. As Flyers will move it forward. Pete Zicculo couldn't handle the pass there. Precourt with it for Winchendon. Back in the defensive zone. Trying to work it in the offensive zone. Had the puck stripped off her stick. Moved over to Stavola. Stavola throws it in the offensive zone off the stick of Pete Zicculo. Lee retreats back to the defensive boards. Will throw it forward. Looking for Precourt. Pass just ahead of her. Pete Zicculo enters the offensive zone. That may have been offsides there. No call. As Ham goes in. Klotzbach with it for the Flyers. Thrown off the shin pads of Ham. Working forward was Stavola. Gets it taken away by Precourt. And dumping it in was Klotzbach there. For Winchendon has Bargain. Trying to fight off the defense. Thrown in front. Shot from Laura. Drive from the point is patted away by Reines. As Mumford back in her defensive zone will throw it forward as Schmidt for the Flyers dumps into the zone. Wara back behind her own net. Throws it over for Orizati. As Winchendon over. I believe it was Marsala working in the offensive zone. Jacobs gets past. Mumford's shot goes wide and off the end glass. Right near the Zamboni doors as Marsala trying to fight off Picker. That one thrown forward from Sievers. It's picked up by the Flyers defense and thrown forward for Picker in the neutral zone. As Marsala fights off Picker. Strips the puck away. Drop pass. Scores! It's Ashley Marsala knotting us up at 3 apiece. With 3:33 to go, it's going to be a nail-biter of a finish here. Both teams finding a way to answer back somehow. As the first, whoever makes the next mistake here will likely end up causing the game-winning goal here. As we're tied at 3 after the goal from Ashley Marsala, the LIU commit. Press for the Flyers, working it in, stopped by has Bargain. Back behind the net, thrown around. Swavely drops in from the point to play the loose puck. Works it forward. It's picked up by Cohen. Fast defender here for this Flyers squad. She'll take a tumble on the ice after the pressure from Orazati. It's thrown around for Allstrand. Allstrand will throw it up the left-hand boards for Marsala. Who just tied this game up at 3 apiece a few moments ago for Winchendon. As that shot goes wide from Swavely. Stewart. Shot goes just wide, that being Rachel Stewart for the Junior Flyers. And Smith goes back to play it, and it'll be an icing instead on Winchendon. She wanted to start the offensive rush from her defensive zone, picking a puck up back behind Reines, but I think, in all honesty, she'd much rather have a face-off in the offensive zone, which she's going to have. It comes to the left of Mia Hasbargen, the Winchendon netminder. As the centerman digging for the draw. Was one back, loose puck after the face-off picked up by DiLoretto. As Jacobs trying to poke it off the stick of Wara, the Winchendon defender. She moves it forward for Hasbargen. She's got a goal here tonight for Winchendon. Thrown over to Precourt, who also has a goal for Winchendon. Wara keeping it alive in the offensive zone. Tumbling the ice was one of the Flyers defenders. Precourt in front. Loose in front shot from Hasbargen, patted aside quickly by Reines. Cat-like reflexes there from this Junior Flyers netminder. Being able to pad that one aside. We stay tied with 1:28 left to go in the third period of play as Precourt with it at the center ice circle will dump it into the zone for Winchendon. Back to retrieve it, the defender Swavely for the Junior Flyers. As Cohen tries to jump start it, it goes off her stick with the stick-to-stick contact as she had Orazati for Winchendon pressuring her along the right-hand boards. It goes right into the penalty box scorekeeper's area and out of play. Face-off will come in the offensive zone to the right-hand side of Reines. Face-off won by the Flyers. It's Klotzbach with it. Tried to throw it over to Stavola in the low slot. It was sticked aside by the Winchendon defense. As Swavely with it now in the defensive zone, moves it forward for Pete Zicolo, the lone goal scorer for this Junior Flyers squad in the third period here. Marsala with it now for Winchendon. Has it sticked aside by the defense. Klotzbach throws it forward for Pete Zicolo. As working it forward was Buto. Mugford pokes it aside off the stick of Swavely. It's thrown into the offensive zone all the way from the length of the ice for icing here with 17.6 remaining in the third. Tied at 3 apiece. As the offensive face-off for the Flyers will come to the left-hand side of Mia Hasbargen. So 17.6 on the clock, a chance here for the Flyers to generate something on offense. Win this game in regulation as it's worked in front. We're looking for Jacobs. That was Picker with the assist from the corner. Hasbargen couldn't get it off the stick of Stewart. Precourt with it. Thrown over. Shot goes just high. Wouldn't have mattered anyway as the horn sounded to close out regulation. As we remain tied at 3 apiece. Looks like we're going to have 10 minutes of overtime here to try and decide a winner in this JWHL playoff matchup at the U16 level between Winchendon School and the Philadelphia Junior Flyers. as each team heads to the bench to talk things over and take a quick breather, maybe get some water before we start. Sudden death overtime here in Attleboro, Massachusetts at New England Sports Village. As it'll be Brady Fontaine giving you the play-by-play action here.
I don't know use 17 if it's 3-on-3 or 5-on-5.
I may stand corrected. We may have a shootout to decide this one. As of now, it looks like we're going to have 10 minutes of overtime. It will let you know what's going to happen as soon as we find out, based off of the formations coming onto the ice. So it'll be 3-on-3. Sudden death overtime, 10 minutes of sudden death overtime, 3-on-3 action here to try and decide a winner for this playoff hockey game between the Junior Flyers in Winchendon School. As face-off one forward by Orizati, it's picked up by Jacobs for the Junior Flyers. Stewart with it. It's Rachel Stewart working it into the offensive zone for the Flyers. Stewart tried to work it in front. As diving poke check action from Mia Hasbargen. Looking like Henrik Lundqvist or Jonathan Quick in the net. Two outstanding goaltenders out of the National Hockey League there. So that reminded me of loose in front chance. Shot, Ryan stops it. Rebound, second chance. Wrapping around. Still won't go. I believe that was Marsala and Lee with a, yes, it was Marsala and Lee with a joint effort. Not even upon it. Overtime continues. As we're still awaiting the golden goal. As one of these ladies looking to be the Megan Keller for their respective squad. In the one-timer. Put home by, I believe it's Ashlyn Jacobs of the Junior Flyers with the golden goal here. Wins it in overtime for the Junior Flyers, 4-3. It'll be the Junior Flyers taking down Winchendon School in this U16 playoff matchup. Thanks to the overtime goal from Ashlyn Jacobs, the overtime hero. A beautiful setup. Loose puck found its way to the low slot. They were able to send it over to Jacobs, feed her for the one-timer, and she puts it by Mia Hasbargen. And that's how the story ends here tonight at New England Sports Village in Attleboro, Massachusetts.